Alright, another one of these here videos. This one's, oh yeah, fluorine. Fluorine. Yeah, pay attention, Karina. Fluorine, poisonous, very poisonous. Most toxic chemical, almost the most toxic element there is. Really, really bad for you. Horrible. Gotta stay the hell away from fluorine. It combines with anything. I mean, it's a fucking whore. It'll combine with anything, you know. So it's carrying all kinds of stuff, and it's just disgusting. Ugh, yuck. Dirtiest fucking element in the periodic table. Dirty, stinking, sloppy pig of an element. um, what else? Yeah, it's very explosive-y, kind of with oxygen. It'll just blow up and do stuff. Yeah, it's just really reactive. Makes like the most toxic compounds. Some sort of like, I don't know, hydrogen fluoride. Yeah, it's really bad. It's like worse than chlorine. I mean, you've heard about chlorine killing people. I think Bhopal was chlorine. Imagine if it was fluoride. That would have killed everybody. Everybody in India would have died. Not really, it's not that bad. But anyway, it makes lots of compounds, and it is good for your teeth. The compounds like but it's like in some other like compound form. I don't know exactly how it gets into your teeth, the fluorine part, but anyway, it's like sodium fluoride or something. Oh yeah, sodium fluoride. Yeah, that's on the toothpaste too. So yeah, it's not the real deal, but apparently it can still get in there and do whatever it's got to do. It builds rods and things or whatever. I don't know what it does. Anyway, what else about fluorine? Poisonous. Yeah, just remember that. Poisonous. Anyway, so yeah, on to the show. It's got a chick on this one, so we'll see. I don't know. It looks a little funny. Her head's bent funny. So I don't know. I might not like it. Almost 400,000 views. So let's see what happens. This is one of them creationist videos. Alright, let's see. A vote bot has dumped over 15,000 one-star ratings on this channel. Oh, that's sad.
As ruthless pack killing machines, right? But notice, even in the feeding frenzy, they don't kill each other. Piranhas do not believe in a god, yet they don't do whatever they want. Where do these root?
Oh, yeah, and they do it for what, a good reason? No. I mean, quite obviously, they don't waste their energy ripping each other's skins off because then they're not going to be very competitive against the other animals, are they? If they waste all their time killing each other or whatever.
Those killing machines get their moral code about not killing each other from.
Yeah, right. They get it from a dumb DNA molecule that is selfishly protecting their DNA, okay? And that's what makes them capable of killing other fish that might be even smarter than they are, or might smell better than they are, might swim better than they are, and they'll kill them because they don't have any ethics and they don't have any decency. All they have is biology. My little genetic code is better than your genetic code. That's not an ethic, Thunderfoot.
Well, let's listen to a creationist try to explain this, shall we? This is Rabbi Zacharias, who deems himself mighty among Christian apologetics. Firstly, the preacher attempts to gain authority from recalling some anecdotal story of how he converted some skeptical heckler at some top university event. The psychology is simple. I bested an aggressively skeptical intellectual with this argument, so this is a good reason for you to accept it. This is a common ruse among preachers who gleefully bask with smug satisfaction as they recall their stories about how they wittily and roundly demolished these hapless straw-stuffed opponents.
I don't know what this has to do with anything. So this is an argument. So if an atheist says I've converted many Christians, that's just bullshit. He shouldn't even talk about it because that's cheating the argument. Okay, I got you now.
In the current context, the migration of the location of the events points to a completely fictitious account engineered to manipulate the audience.
Yes, I remember years ago at the University of Nottingham, as I said to the student at Harvard, a student stood up and said to me, there's no such being as God because of all the evil that is around in the world. I said, can we talk on that for a few moments? He said, yes. I said, remain standing. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, that's really important. Is remain standing. Yeah. You don't want to sit down and have a talk.
I said, when you say there's such a thing as good, aren't you assuming there's such a thing as evil? That is correct, he said. Aren't you assuming there's such a thing as good? He said, yes. I said, when you say there's such a thing as evil, aren't you assuming there's such a thing as a moral law on the basis of which to differentiate between good and evil? I said, when you say there's such a thing as good, you must assume a moral law.
Whatever, I don't get. So you're saying that this somehow you got an I got you here because this guy wrote himself a little whatever, a narrative of, and one time it happened in Nottingham, and the other time it says it happened in Harvard or something. So that makes a difference somehow. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose. Liar, liar.
He said, all right, I'll grant you that. I said, but when you say there's such a thing as a moral law, you must posit a moral lawgiver. But that's whom you're trying to disprove and not prove. If there's no moral lawgiver, there's no moral law. If there's no moral law, there's no good. If there's no good, there's no evil. What is your question? And I said, but if...
Yeah, but see, this is really the important argument, okay? And so Thunderfoot's going to say the DNA will tell us what's important. And the DNA tells us surviving is important, that our chromosomes are important. You know, that, yeah, it's just a fight, okay? And we're supposed to kill everything else, and we're supposed to win the fight. And that's the only thing that matters, survival, because that's what's natural selection. That's what it favors. Anything, any way. It doesn't care how. Great white teeth, shark teeth, fine. Do it that way. Kill everything in sight. You win. Whatever your environment demands for you to survive, you do it. Doesn't matter. You killing women and children, who the fuck cares? Okay, nature's not going to care. Alright? Evolution's not going to care. You're going to kill little baby cubs because you're the new lion in town? Fine. It's okay. That's his ethics. And that's nonsense. We as intelligent creatures can figure out, no, the really important and valuable thing on Earth is this capacity to feel. That's what gives everything else meaning, is the capacity to harm a sentient being. That's what gives everything meaning. And that's what Thunderfoot hasn't figured out yet.
You posit such a thing as a moral law, you must posit a moral lawgiver, but that's whom you're trying to disprove, sir, and not prove.
Yeah, so all you have to do is establish a value. You don't need a lawgiver. You don't need a law pronouncer. All you need to do is assess what has value.
If there's no moral lawgiver, there's no moral law. If there's no moral law, there's no good. If there's no good, there's no evil. What is your question?
And pause for the easily impressed audience. So that's how Zach sells his snake oil. List a series of points which everyone agrees with, put in your bogus claim about God done it, then quickly recite off all the points of agreement to get the applause from the flock. Can anyone say intentionally deceptive? So let's see what else we can prove with Zach's argument. I was talking with an atheist who did not believe that God ejected, so I said to him, if you assume there is such a thing as dark, are you not assuming that there is such a thing as night? He said, yes. By assuming there is such a thing as night,
Oh, this is a little insufferable.
are you not assuming that there is such a thing as day? He thought about it and eventually said, yes. By assuming there is such a thing as day, are you not assuming there is such a thing as sunrise? He agreed. So I said to him, if you accept that there is such a thing as sunrise, then you must accept that there is a supernatural, all-powerful being lifting the sun into the air on a giant jack.
I don't know, that seems like a stupid leap. Because the question really is, what made the sun? What made the sun rise? Okay, so he was talking about if there's an ethical or a value in the universe that something gave it that capacity to have value. So, I mean, whatever. This is
If
pretty
God
lame.
is not jacking it, there is no sunrise. If there is no sunrise, there is no light. If there is no light, there is no dark. Oh, what is your question? Yep, that's right. Proposing a supernatural explanation for sunrise is just as credible as proposing one for morality. So what is the naturalistic explanation for the origin of morals? How do piranhas know not to kill each other without a supernatural commandment forbidding it?
Wow, again, he's going to go back to this kind of a stupid example. of why animals don't eat their own young. I mean, come on, it's not that complicated, and sometimes they do. So, come on.
Morals specifically relate to the behavior of individuals within societies. You don't have to think about the required properties of a stable society long to realize that it's impossible to have a society without certain morals. The most obvious
No, I don't even think you have to have morals, okay? Morals is kind of a dumb word. A scientist might argue that, well, we probably should throw that word in the bin and come up with some other value-focused word that doesn't imply that somebody just makes up something and tells other people what they're going to believe and what they're going to care about.
example is, of course, if you go and kill other members of the society will not propagate effectively and there will not be a stable society.
Ah, again, so here we are. So it's all about how many people there are. So the more people, the better. The more. That's how you define success, is cover the entire universe with human feces, and then we will have accomplished our chore. We will be a grand and wonderful success. Even if 99 out of 100 people are in slavery, that would be okay because we were successful. Slavery was very successful in doing this thing, in increasing population, thriving of the human genome. The human genome increased with slavery. The more slavery there was, the more population could increase because the more it could produce. And so this is kind of a bogus way. This is a bogus way of measure because a lot of very unethical and harmful behavior takes place. If this is going to be your standard, how many humans survive?
This is largely true whether it be wolves, apes, big cats,
that's all
killer
we are.
whales, piranhas,
Dumb animals.
Trust is largely the same. For instance, wolves will pool caring for their cubs, but don't eat each other just because no one else is looking. So where is the moral lawgiver here, Zach?
Yeah, but they will attack each other. A clan will attack another clan if they're starting to eat into their territory and eat into their food supply.
So basically, if you have a stable society, you have what may be described as some morals. The property is intrinsic, just like four corners is a property of a square.
Kind of silly. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's hear this crap. Again, how does this account for slavery?
Good is usually used to describe behaviors that benefit society and evil those that are detrimental to it.
Society, right? So by society, though, you mean really civilization, don't you? Don't you mean something a little better than just a society? Benefiting a society? No, it's got to be benefiting something better than just a group of people.
Actually, evil involves putting personal gain over that of the society. So where do morals originate from? Well, depending on the environment, there can be a selective pressure that favours the survival of animals that cooperate. In such cases, only the animals that cooperate will survive. Cooperation is observed in many species, and in certain environments yields a significant advantage.
Yeah, right. An advantage made of nothing. An advantage that doesn't mean anything to anything that has a thinking brain, because it's an advantage built out of just gang warfare. It doesn't mean anything is superior or better. It just means that the gang killed the individual.
So evolution provides an acceptable naturalistic explanation for morality.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's nothing. It's empty. How are you going to make an argument to somebody who has any kind of notion of civilization that natural selection has got a morality for them? Yeah, that might makes right. That's the morality. Why would any civilized Christian be persuaded to give up their fantasy for that truth? That they should get back into a game where all that matters is their genetic code getting into the future.
So do we have any control over our morality? Is our morality mostly in our DNA or in our brains? Well, both. There is something that might be described as the biological leash. Some things you have lots of choice over, others virtually none. For instance, you have practically no control over the facial expressions used to convey emotion. They are hardwired, a point that is evident from the fact that even blind children, who have never seen a smile, smile when they are happy. All humans, all over the world, irrespective.
Right, and they piss when they gotta piss. I mean, they poop when they gotta poop. I mean, come on. That's really not too interesting.
Of what language they use the same facial expressions to convey emotion. So let's take another example of something that's fairly well biologically hardwired.
Actually, it's to convey more than just emotion. I suppose it's to convey a sense, okay? A sense that would give somebody alarm or make somebody distressed or change their focus or make them pay attention. That's what a lot of that is. And a lot of that might just come out of the fact that, you know, babies have to communicate how they feel, and so a lot of it might just be because that's what we start off as, is little kids, and little kids need attention.
For instance, the desire to protect babies is sufficiently strong that we feel the desire to protect almost anything with big eyes and a relatively large head-to-body ratio. This is generally true of all maternal mammals. Killing is an ambiguous one for the nastiest monkey on the mountain. In killing for food, humans are more akin to piranhas and have little to no problem in killing other animals for food. For our hunter-gatherer forefathers, eking out an existence on the edge of survival, killing one of your own clan would be really bad in that all societies require strong social bonding.
Yeah, right, but, you know, killing the other guy and eating his brain was no problem for them.
Your own survival may depend on the individuals around you. We have a strong instinct not to kill people we know. However, in modern civilization, we are largely divorced from the style of society we are biologically tuned to live in. It is therefore found
Biologically tuned to live in. I mean, that's kind of funny. We haven't been biologically tuned for a long time. And the tuning was crap. The tuning is a nepotism, okay? A familyism, a clanism. It's every negative aspect that we see that is destroying us when we have power. Everything that destroys our capacity to use power is something we got from fucking nature. Nature is to be overcome, asshole, not to be celebrated.
With sufficient conditioning that people will kill others with relatively little concern. Yet in almost all societies, those who submit themselves to such conditioning, training to kill other humans, are seen as of high moral character. Is this good or evil? Does it benefit?
I don't know if that's even true. It's not about the killing, it's about the willingness, okay, to put themselves at risk. Not just to do the killing, but to be potentially killed, to save and protect what they claim to be valuable back home. So yeah, that's admirable.
Fit mankind or not?
Oh, sorry.
Is this moral or immoral? What would you do? These are simple questions that cannot be answered simply. Now there will...
Oh, whatever to that one. Oh, we can't answer them simply. Oh, that's right, we can't answer for every circumstance what the best result was because we can't know every permutation. But I think we can, generally speaking, know that 99.99% of the time it probably isn't a good idea to kill somebody else.
Be those who claim that morals are not relative and so on. These are people who have lived sheltered and pampered lives.
Morals are not relative. Okay, so Thunderfoot's arguing that morality is relative. So value is therefore relative. There's no such thing as a suffering Jew. Okay, it's only meaningful to somebody who's Jewish or somebody has some reason to find meaning in it. But if I don't feel it, or if I don't have any nagging force that says that human is human, then I don't have to feel anything. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to even acknowledge it. I can just pretend it doesn't exist as a value or a problem. And I could just run my I could run my machine on that suffering like a slave owner. I could just negate the suffering, ignore it, because I could just say, Thunderfoot says it's all relative, and if I don't feel anything, I have no obligation.
Moral absolutes are a luxury that can only be afforded by a rich and prosperous society built on something like scientific naturalism.
What a crock of shit. Okay, I mean, Darwin asked those questions to himself sitting in the mud in South America. I mean, what, you're saying that human beings haven't asked ethical questions without this? They need this to do that? I don't think they need any of that crap.
I mean, let's take the usual cause for conflict, resources. Let's put our two families with their absolute morals on another.
Well, let's not talk about resources. Let's talk about gluttony, okay? Addiction. That's the source of conflict. We don't need other people's shit. We have plenty of our own shit. It's just that we're incessant. We can't get rid of the addiction. We get one and we want two. We get two, we want four. We want four, we want 154. That's the fucking problem. Insatiable human appetite is the fucking problem.
Island with only enough food or medical supplies or whatever to sustain one of them. Yeah, absolute morality evaporates quick enough when such individuals are removed from the opulent luxury of a modern society.
And that's just stupid too, because people on the lifeboat make the equation. They can say, well, look, I mean, that guy's 97 years old. He's done it all. He's been there. He's kind of cripply and fucked up now anyway. He's only going to live another 5 months. So yeah, shove him overboard. All right, gracefully, with dignity. Sing him a little song on the way out. Oh, for he's a jolly good fellow. We can make it right. But yeah, you do the logic. You do the Spock logic. You don't have to throw out your ethics or your rationality. No, you can figure out the economy. You can figure out what's the efficient, right thing to do.
Indeed, you don't even need a hypothetical situation to highlight the relativism of morals. Take the very real example of total war. Would you carpet bomb cities containing thousands of children to attain victory? Would you nuke an enemy cities to attain victory?
Well, these are, again, questions that have nothing to do with the fact that there be any kind of relative answer. There is an absolute right or wrong answer. The problem is we can't know it. We can't know that whether that was necessary. Was it necessary to drop the nuclear bomb on living populations? Or could we blown up their most sacred and holy of mountains and sent the message? Was there some other thing we could have done short of irradiating a bunch of people to send the message that their war was fucking over, that we had the weapon, they weren't going to survive? And yeah, those are questions you have to ask, but we can't have answers ahead of time, unfortunately, you dumb fuck. And we can't have absolute answers ever about how it would work out, but we can understand the value. We can understand what we're valuing and what we're trying to protect. We just can't know for certain in some circumstances what the outcome will be, because there are unintended consequences that can't be seen.
Would you research a weapon in peacetime that could kill hundreds of thousands? This is not a new dilemma. The Romans, who were smart folk, had a saying for this. Inter arma enim silent leges. In times of war, the law goes silent. So, historically it is observed that the morality of mankind is fairly plastic, with people no different from you or I.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, talking about what people have done and talking about their morality doesn't mean a hell of a lot. The question is value mush? Does it mean nothing? Is it just something people make up? Or is there something of real, universal, absolute value? That we can say it confidently, with some, rationally confidently, that there's no alternative explanation. There's no way to unvalue it. There's no way to say it doesn't mean anything in a rational way.
Being okay with respect to slavery, children as collateral damage, and even genocide being morally acceptable. So now that you have some background into why we have the morals we do and how flexible they can be, you'll be probably asking the question, how can I work out if my actions are more or less moral than anyone else's? Well, for the individual, interacting locally, the golden rule of treat others as you would be treated is a simplistic start. Although obviously the strategy is completely inept on the macroscopic level, as it's simply a recipe for being conquered.
Yeah, well, says you. But whatever, fine.
Arguably a more thoughtful argument is to assess your actions, and if you think they will increase the standard of living and the happiness of society.
No, well, whatever. The standard of living and the happiness of society. So it has to be your society, not human population in general, not sentient life on Earth. Sentient life on Earth doesn't have any merit or substance. That shouldn't be the ultimate goal, is to create as little suffering and maximize the satisfaction of all sentient feeling things. Yeah, I think that's really the priority. And I think anything short of that is a kind of speciesism and racism and crapism that, yeah, we can do without. Anyway, enough said. Alright, so I got to some of the points in this video, so that was good. Ugh, really, Thunderfoot is really annoying. I really don't like this guy much. So anyway, till next time. Don't like his style.